Hi and welcome to Leitrim Daily. My name is Breifne Earley and you are listening to the sports preview show here on the channel. It's episode 127 of the podcast. Now we're back on a Saturday this week just because of a few technical issues, and we're here and we're doing things a little bit differently for today's show. It's so quiet on the sports front this weekend, only a handful of games across the county, but we are looking a bit more in depth at one particular superstar in the county at the moment, and that is our newest national champion, Dean Clancy of the Manorhamilton based Sean McDermotts Boxing Club. He won the national championships last weekend, the senior championship, which is effectively the second tier of competition. It's his first competition out of the juvenile ranks. Phenomenal victory last weekend, and he goes on to compete in the elite championships, which is the ultimate national championship in the country, and he will take part in that from tonight and hopefully will participate through the rest of the week, and we'll be talking to him about that in a lot more detail over the next half hour or so. We'll also be looking at the grants that have been awarded from a financial point of view in the sports capital grants that were made yesterday, and 13 Leitrim-based sports clubs will avail of over €350,000 of grant aid. I'll be speaking to Junior Hazlett of Drumkieran Handball and GAA Club about the money that they have received towards an AstroTurf pitch in their facility in Drumkieran. He is literally walking on air, and I know you'll hear in the interview later on in the show just how excited he is and what it means for the community, for the local schools, and for the GAA club itself. Now, in terms of fixtures, we are recording this on a Saturday. Today it's Saturday afternoon, and there are some results from the day so far. In rugby, Sligo Rugby took to Greystones for their AIL Division 2B game, and it was a tight one where they were scored first, 5-0 up, went in behind at half-time and managed to turn it around in the second half and won on a scoreline of 20 points to 19. A couple of missed conversions for Greystones, probably the difference between the sides, but a good result for Sligo, none all the same. In terms of Gaelic games, today there was some games in the under-15 championship here at home in the county. There was a playoff for fourth spot in that competition. Melvin Gales beating McDermotts Gales by a scoreline of 2-9 to 1-7, while St Mary's were beaten 1-8 to 4-13 by a dominant Gortletra side in the semi-final of that competition. Gortletra proceed to the final, where they will play the winners now of Glencar Manorhamilton and Melvin Gales in that other semi-final. So that will probably drag on into the first weekend of December if they gets played over the next couple of weekends. There are also some games tomorrow in Gaelic games. The under-20 championship is back up and running. And obviously we are down to the final in the B competition, and that will be next weekend between St Joseph's and St Bridget's. But the small matter of who will be playing in the A final will be decided tomorrow afternoon. Both games at 2 o'clock. In Carrick and Shannon, we see St Mary's play Glencar Manor, while in Ballinamore, McDermotts Gales will play their local rivals, Fina St Callians. And that game all throwing in at 2 p.m, with the two winners proceeding to the county final, probably to be played next weekend, but I'm sure Leitrim GAA will confirm all of that in due course. There are some games tomorrow in soccer also, 11 a.m. kickoffs in both Manorhamilton and Carrick Town, where Manor Rangers host Strand Celtic as they proceed to continue to move towards the top of the table, currently in second place in the league table, and they'll be looking to continue their fine start to the Super League season in the Sligo, Leitrim and District League. While in the second tier, the Premier League, Carrick Town host Yates United. It's been a bit of a mixed bag for Carrick, some good results, some not so good results, and they'll be looking to get back on to winning ways at home in the showgrounds in Carrick on the Boyle Road against Yates United of Drumcliff tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. There is one other game of note, and that's in the Under-13 Connacht Cup, where Castlereagh Celtic is the venue for Manor Rangers as they make their way to Castlereagh to try and continue their fine run in their cup competitions. There was, of course, one game this afternoon in the Under-13 Inter-League competition between Inishowen and Sligo Leitrim, and that game played up in Inishowen. No result to hand yet. I'll bring it to you in the roundup on Monday on the show. There's one final fixture in rugby, and that is tomorrow afternoon, Sunday, at 2:30 in Ballyhonus. Carrick and Shannon Rugby Club make the trip to Mayo for that game. So that game, 2:30 tomorrow afternoon in Ballyhonus. The very best of luck to Sean McKeown and his charges in that particular game tomorrow. Now, we're going to get into the meat and bones of what we're here to talk about today, and that is boxing. And I'm delighted to say I caught up yesterday morning with Dean Clancy of Sean McDermott's club in Manorhamilton about his senior championship success last week. Here's how our conversation went. It's quite rare for Leitrim to get national champions, but I'm delighted now to say that I'm joined by our newest national champion in the shape of boxing senior champion, Dean Clancy. Dean, welcome to the programme.
Cheers, thanks for having me, Breifne.
No problem at all. Thanks for coming down from Manorhamilton for the conversation here. Tell us a little bit about what it is to be a national champion and how happy you are about it.
I suppose I'm absolutely over the moon, especially to win the senior championships and to step up from junior level, as that was my first fight with no headgear, and I've won a lot of Irish titles in the underage, so I'm looking forward to stepping up into the senior ranks and elite ranks and proving my worth again.
Let's go back a few years and let's talk about those junior ranks, because obviously you've been a member of the Sean McDermott's Boxing Club in Manorhamilton probably since as early as you can remember.
Yeah, I've been there a while now. I used to train in Sligo, but it's a brilliant club out there now. They all make me feel welcome. My family's out there as well. So.
And how does that actually work on a day-to-day basis? What does a week look like in the world of Dean Clancy?
Wake up, train, college, train, sleep. That's really my day. That's my week.
And just rinse and repeat every single day.
Yeah. I love it though. So
And you've just done your junior cert, or your leaving cert last year.
Yeah.
So you mixed that while you were competing at the Junior Olympics, the Youth Olympics, and the World Championships.
Yeah.
Let's start with the World Championships in Budapest last year. Talk us through how that event went for you.
I would have been previously training up in Abbottstown, leading up to it over the summer, and I was beaten in the quarterfinals against Asa Stevenson from America, who later went on to win gold. The fight was a bit controversial. Now, look, it happened a year ago. There's nothing really you can do or say, but I thought I won that fight. Everyone thought I won that fight. But.
How annoying is it in a draw like that to come up against one of the big guys who goes on to win it?
Yeah.
Rightly or wrongly, it's
disappointing, but the fact that it'd be better that it's good, I suppose, that he won gold, because at least I got bet by the champion and I didn't get bet by somebody who just got bet after me.
Yeah, that's kind of a nice consolation when you come back.
At least I got bet by the champion.
Yeah, absolutely. Then the Youth Olympics came around. Now talk us through the Youth Olympics, because that's a huge event.
Yeah, no, that was an absolute dream come true to get there. Because I remember, I always set goals and tournaments to get to. Between years ago when I was 11 and 10, I was I want to get to the Connachts, I want to get to the All Irelands. Then it was to represent my country in the Europeans, Worlds, and then I hit the pinnacle of my junior career getting to the Youth Olympics, and it's a huge honour to represent my country there.
What was it like getting on a plane to Buenos Aires, Argentina for that event? What was going through your head?
Well, to be honest, what was going through my head on the way over was food and water, because I was making weight. And it was a long flight, I tell you that. 14 hours it was, not being able to drink.
And how many fights did you get at the event?
3, yeah.
So you worked your way through the rounds to the semi-final?
Yeah, got beat by Brazil. It was a very good fight, it was a tough fight. He was 19, I was just turned 16, so.
And any regrets about how it panned out, not winning the medal?
Look, when you're at that level, there's nothing more you can do, and I was happy to be there, I suppose. It's disappointing not to win a medal, because I wanted to win, obviously, but bigger things coming.
Now let's fast forward a little bit to last week and to your senior championship success. Now, just to put things in perspective, that is you're straight out of the juvenile ranks, and that is the old intermediate championship. So it's kind of the second grade of competition, but it's where everybody starts when you come out of those juvenile grades.
Yeah.
What was the competition like? How many fighters were we up against in that competition?
This year, I was surprised. My weight was pretty low. I got a straight final, you see. So that was my first fight with no headgear, and you can really feel the difference. I enjoy it with no headgear. It was
I presume you don't wear a headguard in training. You'd spar without one, or
No, I spar with one definitely, yeah, because the risk of getting a head clash is greatly increased with no headguard, and you definitely don't want that. Like, it's getting a cut is nasty, and the possibility of reopening in a fight and getting TKO'd or stopped. No one wants to go out with a cut. Like, you rather win the fight.
So is there any worry in your head at all when you go into the ring with no headguard on for the first time that something like that is going to happen? Like, how do you mentally deal with that?
Oh, for sure. Like, yeah, I'd go in there and be like, you'd be more alert when you're in there, because you know if you do get hit, you're going to get hurt. So you want to be really tuned in, and it makes you box better. Like, I feel I boxed the best I've ever boxed there the weekend with no headguard, because I was more alert, tuned in, focused, and
because you know you're going to get hurt if you get hit.
If I get hit, I'm done, yeah.
And as you progress through the age grades, like, you get to hit harder, but also your opponent gets to hit harder because you're that bit bigger, stronger, faster.
Maturing as an athlete, yeah. I turned into an adult. So.
How do you deal with that? Or is it comes rolled with the punches, literally?
It just comes with it, like. Nice pun there, yeah. It comes with it, really, to be honest. You mature as an athlete, you're getting older, you're becoming an adult, you're hitting harder. It just comes with it, I suppose, yeah.
Now, the elite championships are the reward for winning the senior championships. So traditionally this would have been the route to the Irish jersey for national championships, for European championships, world championships, Olympic trials. Tell us about the competition itself. It starts in the next couple of days. So we're recording this on Thursday morning. It's going out on Friday. What is the timetable for the weekend or the next couple of days?
Well, I'm boxing. The draw was made there yesterday. So I'm boxing Saturday against a boy from Ulster called JP Hale. He's a good opponent. Like, I know him for 30 years. If we win that, it should be in the semi-finals Monday, and then the finals the week after. Now this tournament will be a process towards qualifying for the 2020 Olympics, which if we win these out, it'd be a massive achievement, considering I've just turned 18, and these boys will be a lot older than me, more experienced than me in the elite ranks, as in not in international, I suppose. But
in terms of you as a 6-year-old, when you first picked up gloves, you probably picked up gloves before that, but your first official kind of training session when you were 5 or 6 years of age, was the Olympics the ultimate goal?
Yeah, to be honest, it always was. It always will be, and hope to get there would be a dream come true again. Like, it should be any athlete's dream to give. I say it is every athlete's dream to represent your country in the Olympic Games, because that's the highest point you can go, I suppose.
I suppose if you look back to, would have been the Beijing Olympics around that time, would you have been aware of, say, Kenny Egan getting to a final at that competition, or would that even have been a thing for you at the time?
I suppose it would have been on the TV. I would have heard it would have been there. But
what age are you? 5, 6, 7, 8 years of age?
Easily, yeah, it would have been, yeah. But 2012, I remember definitely watching 2012 and watching Katie Taylor, of course, when that was amazing. Like, seeing her run around the ring with the flag, like, it just, from there I was like, I want to do that, and hopefully one day I will do that. It's
interesting that you pick Katie Taylor, because obviously people would see her as a beacon for women's boxing, a women's sport, but you're saying that as a young boy she also influenced you as well. It wasn't the Paddy Barnes or Michael Conlon that would have,
yeah,
at the time. I suppose Michael Conlon afterwards would have been
we all know about that one.
It's funny that we've chatted a bit about results and judges' decisions and stuff off air before you came in, and it's interesting that seems to be a narrative through the whole sport. What's the sport like at the moment in terms of that? How's it like to be competing when you go into every single fight wondering if the judges are going to be fair or not?
Yeah, like, I suppose when it comes to the judging aspect, it's out of your hands altogether, completely. Like, there's some you get some, you lose some. You don't know what some judges are seeing most times. So I just go in there, perform, put on a good show, I suppose, for the people watching, and if I win, I win, and if the judges see otherwise, well, I don't know what. That's their option, I suppose.
Major championships aside, you're used to going to a show where there's a handful of people at events. You're going into this weekend with the elite senior championships of the country. There's going to be bigger crowds as you progress through the rounds over the next couple of weeks. Does that faze you at all? Or are you kind of excited about it?
Not at all. I absolutely love the crowds. I said it there to Irish boxing, like, the weekend, if every seat was filled in that arena, I'd box out of my skin, simple as. Like, I really enjoy the crowd. Like, I wouldn't, suppose in last year I just changed my whole mental thinking before going into the fight. Like, just there to put on a show. Just enjoy it. You box better relaxed than if you're tense and nervous, which is expected to be if there's big crowds watching you fight. So like I enjoy the crowds. I love it.
You seem to have a lot of confidence, but that seems to be a kind of a normal thing for boxers. Where does that confidence come from boxers? Does it come from the club, your coaches, just inside yourself?
I suppose I was always slightly confident in my whole life, throughout my whole life, but my work ethic and having a good team around me, like my father and everyone in Manorhamilton and my family, and just the whole believing in myself, because I've done the training, I've done the rounds, I've done the travelling, the sparring. What is there to lose? Like I'm going to prove myself in the ring and do the best I can.
So tell us about this guy you fight tomorrow or Saturday afternoon.
He's Ulster senior champion, yeah, elite champion. He's strong. I sparred him a few months back, did a few rounds together, like, so I know a little bit about him. Yeah.
What would your expectation be of the fight? Not to put you under pressure.
Well, look, I'm in there to win it, aren't I? So I'm gonna go in and do my best. Hopefully win out the championship and make 2020, I suppose.
Now let's talk about that 2020 dream, because we found out in the last couple of days that the current 57k favourite, for the want of a better word, at international level won't be in the elite competitions. Now my understanding from a decade ago was that you had to win your national championship to go into the Irish team. What's the current situation with that?
Yeah, look, the way it's seen, like a lot of these top, as I said, top boxers are pulling out of these tournaments, which is, to be honest, is absolutely disgraceful, considering 7 big names have pulled out of the elite championships. That the 7 names that were expected to win and possibly go to 2020 have all pulled out due to injury, sickness, or their own reasons. Like I can't really say much about it, because obviously, like, I'd know them. It's not fair. Like I could win these elite championships now and possibly not go to 2020, but whether a few years ago it would have been you win your elite title, you're next in line to go. Like seen Kennedy Egan, was it, that put up on Twitter there, it was like, I boxed for 2 senior championships to prove that I'm the best boxer in the country at my weight. He went on to the Olympics then, like, so.
Yeah, in terms of the Olympic qualification, has it changed? Because I know there's a lot of talk about boxing at the Olympics at the moment because of the things, I suppose, that ultimately Michael Conlon kind of brought to the front at the last Olympics in Rio. In terms of the qualification, it used to be where the country qualified in a weight class and then they decided who actually got to go to the Olympics. So the boxer, male or female, who qualified wasn't necessarily the boxer that ended up at the Olympics, which seems fundamentally stupid anyway. But how does that work now?
It's basically to be if I win these out now, there'd be a box off between me and the current European champion Kurt Walker. Like it'd be behind closed doors, you see, up in Abbottstown in the high performance, with 1 or 2 coaches watching, and it's like assessments. So to choose who's training, who's better, who's performing the best. But I still think you win your elite championships. Even if it was another elite championships in January, I'd happily take another fight. Like.
But in terms of, and I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a moment, but in terms of the boxers, like, anyone can have a bad day on one fight. So if you happen to show up, be the best boxer in the country, but have a bad fight in the national championships, should you lose the whole right to compete for a year on the basis of that one event?
No, I think they probably should have another senior championships or elites, like they did back a couple of years ago.
So if you don't get the results, you don't want the first time you run it again, a bit like Brexit or our Nice Treaty back in the day.
Somewhat like that, yeah. I wouldn't. But sick of hearing Brexit in the news now. So.
But then how does it work in terms of, like, say you do win this, or say Kurt Walker was in it and you won it, and they run it again? That's not fair on you either.
Yeah, I suppose it's a really tricky, confusing process at the moment. Like, but I'd rather win the elite championships in front of everyone, perform on the day, which hopefully I will, and I plan to certainly. So. I rather box in front of everyone. I'd rather lose in front of everyone than win behind closed doors and him get picked. You know what I mean?
No, I get what you mean, and I completely
agree. It's a very confusing process. Like,
It doesn't seem transparent.
Yeah, it's fair.
And transparent, but unfortunately in Irish sport, transparency
it is.
is not always top of the agenda. Well, listen, Dean, thank you so much for coming in to me and having a chat. I've
no
been a pleasure to meet you. The very, very best of luck. I know you're under pressure because you're trying to make weight tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm weighing in tomorrow. Yeah.
How's the mood?
It's grand. If I'm a little bit cranky, don't judge me. Going off on a cup of coffee, that's all I had.
How exactly does that process work? Because you have to get to a certain weight. What's your normal body weight? 57k is the weight category, but normally would you be slightly above that or just on that?
I wouldn't say slightly above now. I say a good bit above, but sure luck.
So what do you have to do to make weight?
Just eating a healthy diet, cutting out all the junk food, takeaways, sweets, and when it comes down to the last kilo or kilo and a half, I suppose I just dry out between sweat sessions and hot baths.
You're going to have to elaborate a bit more on that. What does dry out mean? So for the last 24 or 48 hours?
Yeah, just going for a wee jog with a load of gear on me, like a sauna
bin
suit
bags.
or something. Bin bags, I suppose, yeah. Maybe a hot bath later. Depends what I am. Like I'm pretty comfortable in the weight because I've moved up obviously since last year, and I'm growing into this weight class. So, yeah.
But in terms of preparation for a fight, trying to do that a day or two before your fight is not ideal, surely.
I'm used to it at this stage. Like most of the top athletes will be used to it, but it's a mental battle, definitely, 100%.
I remember being at a weigh-in of I think it was a third level university's bout a couple of years ago, and you had people skipping and in bin bags, and it was just, it looked horrific.
Yeah, it is, like, especially when you haven't eaten that day, like.
And the actual process, do you only get one go on the scales? Like, if you're over for that one time, do you get a period of time?
No, you've one chance. It's probably more. I'm probably more nervous stepping on the scales than getting into that ring.
And what happens if you don't make weight? You're just out. It's end of story.
See you later. Yeah, you're done.
That's nearly more brutal than the actual sport in the end.
It is.
In terms of the championships, where can people follow that? Because is it streamed live? Is it on TV?
As far as I know, there might be a stream on YouTube. There definitely will be for the finals, anyways. And the finals will be on RT2 or TG4. Yeah, I think so.
Excellent. Well, listen, I'm sure it'll go really well. Now, the only thing about these things, obviously, these sports, these Olympic campaigns, which is essentially what you're at the start of now, they cost a lot of money traditionally. Now, Leitrim has its fair crack of former Olympians with Colin Griffin, Laura Reynolds, Breach, Connolly from Kinlaw have all been at the Olympics in the last decade or so. How are you funding this? How do you fund your lifestyle?
It is pricey enough, but I have a few sponsors on my back, and I'd like to really thank them, like, between my gyms, Club Vita Sligo, the Clayton Hotel Gym, TNT, and of course EJ Menswear in Sligo. They back me since the beginning. Like they're a massive support in my career, and I'd like to thank them for that. But if anyone wants to jump on board and help me, support me on this journey towards 2020, I'd be absolutely grateful for that.
How can they get in touch with you?
Email, phone call, or my Instagram social media accounts.
So just look up Dean Clancy on social media. And they'll find
Instagram is at Dean_Clancy, or my Facebook, Dean Clancy.
Perfect. Well, listen, Dean, the very best luck. I think anyone who's interested in helping out, do get in touch with him. It's a fantastic campaign that he has lined up here for the next, hopefully, 12 months to get him to an Olympics, and the very, very best of luck in that. Listen, thank you so much for taking the time to come down to us here in Carrick and have a chat with us. The very, very best of luck. Congratulations on your championships last week. Cheers. And the very best of luck, and whether that ends up in the National Stadium in the next couple of days or all the way to Tokyo next year, I know you'll have the full support of the entire county behind you.
No, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Now, there are 13 sports clubs across the county who are celebrating over the last 24 hours after the recent announcement in the Sports Capital funding that those 13 sports clubs and organisations from across the county will share €356,500 across the board. The beneficiaries are wide-ranging from a variety of sports and a variety of locations, but the list of people who have received money have asked GA Club for a new AstroTurf pitch, just under €42,000, while Ahowil and GA Club have been awarded $18,500 for gym building improvement and equipment upgrade. Breifne Community Development Company for a lifelong community exercise project have received just over €2,500. From Shambo Athletics Club for a running and field athletic training area, is €31,000. Drumsnab Boxing Club have been awarded €11,500 for the refurbishment of their clubhouse. Kilnagross National School, also €11,500 for multi-purpose playing fields. Kinloch Community Development Company Limited have been awarded €17,500 for a training track, pitch lighting and fencing, or a swimming pool under the auspices of Leitrim County Council for disability adaptation, just under €1,000. Manorhamilton Community Recreation and Sports Limited, a multi-use area, security fencing, sports equipment to the value of €42,500. Just under €50,000 for the people in Mohill GAA Club for the refurbishment of their club facilities, while Sean O'Heslins have been granted a little bit less, €47,000 for floodlighting at their home ground in Ballinamore. And Tullahan Development Association have been awarded €7,800 for AstroTurf fencing and exercise equipment. But it is the largest figure on the list that we're going to focus on for the next 5 or 10 minutes or so. And I was joined yesterday by Junior Hazlett of the Drumkieran Handball Sport and Leisure Limited, or Drumkieran GAA Club. It's all the one entity up there in Drumkieran, and they've been awarded €73,000 for a 4G artificial playing surface, which is a phenomenal achievement for the local area there. All 13 organisations deserve huge credit for bringing this investment from central funds into Leitrim and into our benefit in terms of our communities and whatnot. So here's how I got on with Junior when we had a quick chat yesterday afternoon. Now, this morning, the department announced the award of grants to various sports organisations around the county, over €350,000 making its way to Leitrim in today's award of grants. And one of the recipients, in fact the biggest recipient of the lot, is Drumkieran Handball Club, or Drumkieran GAA Club, and Junior Hazlett joins me now. Junior, welcome to the programme.
Thank you very much.
You must be walking on air in Drumkieran this morning.
Well, we're delighted. We got word last night late on that we were being allocated a sum of money, but we weren't told exactly how much it was going to be. And when we heard this morning, it's great news, because when we decided to apply for this funding, we done it in conjunction with the local school, Lahallan College. They have no sports facilities, and they're currently using the handball alley on a daily basis for whatever indoor PE, and obviously there's an awful lot of emphasis on PE at the moment, so they're using that facility, and we're delighted to come on board when we approached them that we'd put in a joint application, and I'd say that's probably one of the reasons why we were so successful.
Now, this, of course, is for AstroTurf facilities. Can you explain to us, to people who might be familiar with the GAA grounds there in Drumkieran, where exactly we're talking about that these facilities will be put?
We are talking about, as you walk in the main entrance to the pitch, there's a plot of land between the dressing rooms, the ball alley and the football pitch, and that's where the new AstroTurf pitch is going to be situated.
Excellent. So this is really going to allow the kids essentially in Drumkieran, in Lahallan College, and those playing with the club to really enjoy their football or their sport in the coming years.
That's correct. The agreement we have with Lahallan College is that they will have full use of it on a daily basis, and that agreement is it was a licensing agreement that was drawn up by a solicitor, so it's 100% above board, and it can never change. It will always be available to Lahallan College.
That's fantastic. Well, listen, Junior, I know you're under pressure to get away today, so I won't hold you much longer, but I just wanted to say congratulations on behalf of all of the organisations. I think 13 in total. We'll go through a list later in the programme, but thank you so much for joining us and telling us exactly how much that means to a community like Drumkieran.
Anybody that's involved in either the GAA or any sports activities that's going on, there's an awful lot of emphasis on fitness and athletics and problem with obesity, and hopefully this will be just it's what the area needs. Drumkieran hasn't an awful lot in the line of sports facilities, and it'll be a huge benefit to the 2 national schools, the vocational school and the surrounding area. Like, it will be available to everybody that wants to use it. And that's, when we opened the ball alley back 10 years ago, that's what we set out to do, and it's getting huge use. There's women's groups going in training there. We had an elderly man's group doing a training session for the last couple of winters, and like, young and old are getting benefit from it, and that's what it's all about.
In terms, Junior, of the timeline going forward, when do you expect you'll be in a position to, I suppose, break ground on this, and how long before people will actually be able to use the facilities once they're finished?
We would be hoping to start it, I would say, early in the new year.
Oh, that's soon. That's fantastic.
That would be the, like, as I said, we have been talking about it, and like, the plans is in place. So we know exactly what we're going to do, and hopefully that, like, obviously things doesn't always go to plan, but the plan will be that I would imagine it'll probably be a 2-year project before it's ready for use. But if we can pull back a bit on that, all the better.
Excellent. Of course, a lot of people involved behind the scenes in making this happen too.
Our title is of Kieran Handball Sporting Leisure, and we have a very good committee, and any of the projects that we done, we built the ball alley back in 2010, and the local support was absolutely phenomenal. We done a couple of fundraisers. We done a fundraiser back in I think it was maybe 2010-11 ourselves, 1,000 Air fundraiser, and we raised over 65,000 locally. That was where it all started. That was what started off the ball alley, and we're just moving on from there now. This is, as I said, this is our next project.
Of course, in terms of funding, this isn't a 100% grant, so you will have to match some of the funding yourselves. I presume there will be further fundraising involved in Drumkieran to make this a full reality in due course.
There certainly will, and anything that we have ever fundraised for before, the support we have got has been just absolutely brilliant, and I have no doubt but it'll be no different this time.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Junior, I'm going to let you away. Thanks very much for joining me, and congratulations. Great news today for Drumkieran and the other communities around the county.
Thanks very much. Talk to you again.
And that, folks, is all we have time for this week. The very best of luck to Dean Clancy as he takes on the best of his weight category in the Elite Boxing Championships over the next, well, tonight starting off, but over the next couple of weeks, hopefully, as he progresses to hopefully what will become his first Elite Championship competition. I'll be back later today, as it happens, with a current affair, with a chat with John McCartan of Newtown Gore, who is all over the news in the last few weeks in relation to his role as chairman of the board of directors of Quinn Industrial Holdings. And we'll be talking about all of that, as well as his music, his political life and family life, and how everybody around him has been dealing with the mess that is currently happening in this county in regard to all of that. Tomorrow I'll be talking to Seamus O'Rourke on Kiss My Arts about a lock of poems, recitations and good ones, where he's going to share with us how a footballer farmer from Carrigallen and a carpenter ended up coming up as one of Leitrim's most famous poets. And he is launching his book tomorrow afternoon in Mitchell's in Carrigallen. Well worth going along. He's going to read a few things from the poems from the book, as well as having a little bit of entertainment and music on the night. It's going to be a good day, and I recommend it to anybody who wants to get out and about and maybe get themselves a Christmas present or two for a few people in their own lives. Other than that, I'll be back on Monday with the Sports Roundup, where we'll be talking about all the things that do happen over the course of the weekend. Thank you for joining me today, and I will be back a couple of times over the next few days, and we'll talk to you then.